Hey everyone, Kathleen from KathleenSummons.com. Panicking a tiny bit only because my 3.5-year-old is calling for me. But I bet you all know what that's like. Everybody's got everybody at home all the time right now, which is why I wanted to talk about repurposing your content. So I think that the difference between people who are just starting out, maybe it's just the difference between someone who is their entire business and other people who aren't. Because what I see from creators who have come up with their product or their new way to see the world or something like that is that people think that they need to come up with new stuff all the time. But you don't. In fact, the whole point of marketing, the whole point of amplification is so that everybody hears your story. You need to be repeating who you are, why you are the person to work with other people, and why now is the time to work with you so much more often than you think. In fact, if you're not getting sick of your message yet, you're not saying it enough. Remember that bigger brands do not worry about whether too many people have heard it. Think about that. Like for somebody advertising in the Super Bowl doesn't think like, oh, people have heard from us before. No, they think, okay, how can we get more attention? How can we get more people to know who we are? How can we become a big player? A household name. Take Zoom, for example. 6 weeks ago, the only people who knew Zoom were people who, like me, were using it for conferencing in their already existing online businesses. Now, my preschooler has Zoom calls with the preschool. My family keeps asking about Zoom. We do family get-togethers using my Zoom account. Everybody knows about Zoom. One of my favorite memes lately was there was one that was kind of a spinoff of the super productive do all your best work in quarantine. It was like Newton discovered gravity under quarantine. Galileo was under quarantine when he came up with all of his theories that were proven hundreds of years later. You can figure out how to unmute your Zoom during quarantine. So stuff like that. However, marketing means just like coming up with something great isn't something you have to do a whole bunch. Think of the biggest names you know. And I don't mean Apple, because they have a huge product line. But I mean someone like a personality you know. In the finance space, it's Dave Ramsey, right? You could put all of his nuggets of information, all of his wisdom, all of his knowledge, everything he disseminates onto an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. He doesn't have to come up with something new. He needs another person to learn about his baby steps. He needs to get his message in front of more people. And so what he does is he takes this one message and he has a radio show and he has a huge following. He has Facebook groups about people talking through the baby steps. And that's it. You know, he has a couple of different products that he sells, but everything is within that knowledge. He does not have a time the market stock picking strategy for investing. He doesn't talk about Bitcoin. He stays narrow in his field. And I think that's something you need to remember when you're coming up with, like, you know, maybe you send a newsletter to your list and you think, God, what do I have to say today? The things that you say over and over and over again are the things that you need to say. It's just how to get your point across. Remember, your email list, they're your inner circle. Your If you have a bigger following on Twitter, say the same thing on Twitter that you said in your newsletter. I just bought this content distribution spreadsheet reminder because I just wrote a big piece of content that I need to share everywhere. And it's a really good reminder that there's all kinds of places you can go to amplify existing content. I have a client right now who is not writing a new blog post this year. Think about that. Last year, 100% of her clients came from Google, and she is not writing more content. Instead, she is optimizing her existing content for the keywords she wants to rank for. She is updating those posts to make them sound better, to make them beefier, and she's republishing them. So if you're thinking, like, God, I don't know what else I can possibly say next in an email or in a blog post, don't. Just republish something you've already published. Look at the number of people in your analytics who are there for the first time. Most people are. They are just now getting to know you. So just because you've said something 100 times and you're sick of hearing it does not mean the world is. Thank you. This is something I'm passionate about, obviously. I am doing a webinar about shortcuts you can take to make marketing less painful. If you go to KathleenSummons.com/webinar, sign up for one of the 3 live times in the middle of May. Then I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye.